Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Perth, Mr Bruce Reynolds.
Thank you, CEO. Okay, there we go. Welcome to the City of Perth February 2026 agenda briefing session. I declare this meeting open formally at 5 p.m. I'd like to also respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land in which we meet, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. It is a privilege to be standing on Whadjuk Noongar country. CEO, could you please recite the prayer?
Almighty God, under whose providence we hold responsibility for this city, grant us wisdom to understand its present needs, foresight to anticipate its future growth, and grace to serve our fellow citizens with integrity and selfless devotion. And to thee be all blessing and glory forever. Amen.
Forever, amen. Please be seated. Okay. Okay, so please note that in accordance with agenda briefing session terms of reference, this meeting is being publicly broadcast and the recording will be made available on the City's website following the meeting. In attendance we have this afternoon, we have Councillor Doshi, Councillor Gobbett, Councillor Lisa, Councillor Pakin, Councillor Patton, Councillor Gonsalves. We have an apology from Councillor Ma, and Councillor Coe isn't here just yet, but I feel he'll be here shortly. I would like to remind councillors to please submit any applications for a leave of absence prior to the next ordinary council meeting. In addition, I'd like to welcome the Chief Executive Officer and all our officers and any of the public or media in attendance. Good to see you all. Can elected members please acknowledge you've had sufficient time to read and consider the agenda items presented this evening? Thank you. Just a reminder on mobile phones, if in case of an emergency, please just step outside and take your call. In regards to emergencies, please pay attention to directions given by the City of Perth staff. It's the big fella at the back corner. Announcements by the Deputy Lord Mayor. That's a typo. Whoops. Actually, on that note, I just want to also welcome Ebony to the big seat this evening. Ebony stepped up whilst Charlie's on a well-deserved break. So, Ebony, I know you're excited to be up here, excited to have you. Elected members, please welcome Ebony and yeah, let's get on with the rest of the meeting. But any problems that I have, please help me out, as Charlie does. Good to see Ebony. So that's my only announcement. Disclosure of interest. Moving to item 5 on the agenda, which is disclosures of interest. CEO, have we received any disclosures?
Yes, Lord Mayor, the following interests have been disclosed. Councillor Catherine Lisa has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 14.3 as she is a social member of the Perth Bowling Club. Councillor Adam Pecan has disclosed a proximity interest in item 14.3 as he owns property adjacent to 2 Plain Street, which is discussed in the report. Lord Mayor Bruce Reynolds has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 14.3 as he is a member of the Perth Social Club. Councillor Catherine Lisa has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 15.6 as she is acquainted with Michael Valletta, a current WACA board member. Lord Mayor Bruce Reynolds has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 15.6 as ex-president of the City Rotary. He has had involvement with John via their agreement of the club to meet at the WACA. They are also charity partners. He has had further involvement as a city leader and stakeholder relationship since. Lord Mayor Bruce Reynolds has disclosed a proximity interest in item 16.1 as one of the properties seeking a grant is next door to his property on Aberdeen Street. Councillor Catherine Lisa has disclosed a proximity interest in item 16.1 as she has been given differing advice regarding disclosures. It seems prudent to adhere to the most conservative of these and she will disclose the same interest as Lord Mayor Reynolds. Lord Mayor Bruce Reynolds has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 16.1 as Dr Chen is a prominent member of the community and as such he has met him at community events from time to time in the last 2 years. Councillor Lisa Ma has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 16.1 as she volunteered for the association and established a level of friendship. She has also attended groundbreaking ceremony for Changhua Association Community worth $50 on the 23rd of December 2025 and attended a number of Changhua events. Friendship with President of Changhua, Andy Yuan, and former President Dr Ying Chen. And finally,
Last one.
Councillor Adam Paikin has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 16.3, major leveraging opportunities 2026 Lightscape, as he has previously worked with Sue McDougall at Radio 6PR.
Thank you. And before we move on from item 5, are there any further disclosures on any interest from the floor? DLM?
Thanks. Just on 16.3, major leveraging opportunity 2020 Lightscape, that I've previously attended Lightscape 2025, and 16.1 heritage conservation grants. I have also previously attended Changhua events.
Thank you. Councillor Gobbett.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Did provide these to governance, but for the public record, 14.3 Perth Bowling and Recreation Club lease proposal. It is a proximity interest. The nature of the interest is that my residential address is at 45 Adelaide Terrace, which is adjacent to 2 Plain Street, which is the nature of the item. The second declaration is 16.1 for Heritage Conservation Grants 25-26. This is an impartiality interest. Being that I have attended the Lunar New Year celebrations with the Changhua Association, and that is in the capacity of the attendance at events policy. No association has been created, and this represents impartiality only. The third declaration or disclosure is 16.3, major leveraging opportunity 26 Lightscape. That is an impartiality interest with the Botanic Gardens and Parks Authority. And the nature of that interest is that I attended Lightscape from 23 to 25 in accordance with the attendance at events policy. No association has been formed, and this represents impartiality interest only. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that. Any others? Councillor Doshi.
Thank you. Mine is for 15.6 WACA rates concession. I just want to make everybody aware that I have a membership for the WACA and also membership separately for the Pavilion Centre on that site. Thank you.
WACA and Pavilion, impartiality. Yep, cool. No problem at all. Thank you very much. That's it. All done, all dusted. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Item 6 is public participation. Public question time will be held next week at the Ordinary Council meeting, so we look forward to those. 16.2 is deputations. CEO, are there any deputations?
Yes, Lord Mayor, 2 deputations have been received speaking for item 11.2, submission on draft station precincts improvement plan, Claysbrook Station. 1 deputation has been received speaking against item 14.2, City of Perth parking fee review. 1 deputation has been received speaking for item 14.3, Perth Bowling and Recreation Club lease proposal. 1 deputation has been received speaking for item 16.3, major leveraging opportunities 2026 Lightscape, and 1 deputation has been received speaking for item 19.2, notice of motion putting ratepayers first, suspension of council travel.
Alrighty, thank you very much, CEO. Just please be reminded, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a 5-minute limit for your deputation, and also for elected members who have disclosed a financial or proximity interest in relation to any items that they might be subject to a deputation. You must leave the chamber. Ebony and her team have helped out here and there by putting in some names, but there were obviously some from the floor, which we have noted, but if you can just be aware of that and help out by taking a stage left exit when your time comes. Alrighty, I'd like to now invite Jason Bowe, who is speaking for the officer's recommendation in item 11.2, to please come forward. Jason, please state your name and your suburb, and it's great to see you.
Jason Bowe, East Perth.
Fantastic, and I'll just quickly announce to the minute taker that Councillor Coe has just arrived and taken his seat. Good to see you, Councillor. Sorry, Jason, fire away.
Lord Mayor, CEO, and councillors, before I dig in, I would like to wish the Chamber and everyone watching from home a Happy New Year. Today marks the first day of the Fire Horse, the year of the Fire Horse, which is symbolic for new energies and bold new moves. I rise tonight to speak in support of item 11.2. I would like to begin by acknowledging the technical excellence of our admin team in preparing this report, but it wouldn't be me without some suggestions. So I'm not saying the admin's work is incomplete, but rather I want to magnify its impact through a model of regional collaboration. The proposed Claysbrook Station Precinct Summit, which I've circulated by email to elected members, is about aligning our priorities and amplifying our combined voices. Prosperity is a key theme for the new year, and that is rarely achieved in isolation. When two inner city councils stand together, we take a professional step towards a collective regional planning. This ensures the WAPC sees a unified vision that represents the people living on both sides of the rail line, rather than having a series of fragmented views. The current WAPC plan employs a blunt instrument of an 800-metre radius sweep to identify the area. By its very nature, this geometric approach lacks the local nuance of our neighbourhoods. By advocating together with our neighbours at the City of Vincent, we can provide a surgical refinement required to protect our character streets, while simultaneously identifying and pushing for high yield density where it actually makes sense. In fact, the City of Vincent's North Claysbrook Place plan specifically advocates for improved connectivity between North Claysbrook and East Perth. And indeed, part of their plan is to leverage the partnership with the City of Perth. So we're basically knocking on a door that's already open. These documents pave the way for us to discuss strategic land use across council borders. This includes significant state assets such as the Royal Perth Hospital campus, the Royal Street car park, and the East Perth Power Station. By taking a holistic approach to the entire precinct, instead of each council advocating for their own halves, we ensure that we're actively assisting the state in delivering its housing goals, rather than presenting potentially conflicting priorities. We can also leverage this summit to address the amenity gap in our residents. Claysbrook residents often cite the cement plant on our northern border as a major health concern, polluting our airways with cement dust particulates. Unfortunately, pollution is council border agnostic, which means so should our advocacy reflect that. By standing with Vincent to remediate these industrial sites, we ensure a healthier future for all our residents. Lord Mayor, in this report, we have a map of where we want to be. My amendment simply provides the diplomatic tools for us to get there. It ensures that we're not simply authors of a report, but active partners in strategic alignment. By supporting the summit and hosting the summit, we ensure that every step we take together with our staff, with our ratepayers, and with our neighbours. Thank you, and I commend this motion to the Chamber.
Thank you very much, Jason. Very well said. By the way, would anyone like to, is there any questions from the floor for Jason? Councillor DLM, Councillor Gonsalves.
You talked about a regional cooperative model. We do have the inner city working group. How do you see that fitting in, or are you talking about a more specific type of model?
Through you, Lord Mayor, with the inner city working group, that is a working group of 5 councils, inner city councils, if I'm correct, whereas we are interfacing with Vincent directly on Claysbrook Station Precinct. It wouldn't make sense to involve the other councils who don't have this interface. It would be more ideal if we can interface with the right stakeholders using the right instrument rather than using a catch-all to address this issue, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? Well done, Jason. Great to see you.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, fantastic food for thought for our team. Over to 11.2. Can I please ask Megan McNeil to please step forward if Megan's here? Hi, Megan. If you could just state your name and suburb and fire away.
Megan McNeil, East Perth. Oh, I'm a bit loud. Good evening, councillors, Lord Mayor and CEO. My name is Megan McNeil, the CEO at Perth City Farm. For those of you who don't know, Perth City Farm is an urban farm, working urban farm right beside the Claysbrook train station. We have a couple of buildings which people use for events. It's very much used for community and for private events. We have a community garden. We grow fruit trees, vegetables, we've got chickens, we've got bees. It's very community focused. We've got a lot of volunteers that look after that as well as paid employees. We have a nature playground that has been built at the moment and a cafe on site. So there's lots of different spaces where people meet and they use it in different ways. We also run a recycling hub, which I think is one of its only kind in the city of Perth as it is, and that diverts a significant amount of waste from landfill. And we, as mentioned before, we have about 60 regular volunteers who help with lots of different parts across the farm. People often come for one thing and they are surprised by how much we actually do on site at the farm. We are a social enterprise. We are not dependent on funding, any grant funding or anything like that. We make our own money. And I'm here to speak in support of the strategic intent of the Draft Stations Precinct Improvement Plan Agenda Item 11.2. We recognise that the state government's focus is on unlocking underutilised land near Metronet stations, which we're obviously within that boundary. And we appreciate the City of Perth's role in shaping what that actually looks like on the ground. Claysbrook is going to change, and as part of that precinct, we'd love to be part of that conversation and what that change looks like. But Perth City Farm isn't underutilised. We're not on vacant or on speculative land. We've been there for over 30 years now, built largely by the community and used by the community to this day. We're an established sustainability, education and community hub. We run school programmes, corporate volunteering, workshops. We have a weekly farmers market, which even ran in the middle of Christmas holidays because local producers still have got to move their produce, and a lot more. Anything that you can imagine, you can actually do at Perth City Farm. In the last financial year in itself, we had 349 events happen on site. Over 50% of them were community-led, and 80% of that 50% were free of charge, which meant that it was open to the community to come and actually enjoy the space. These numbers show that we're not green space on a map. People actually use this continually. We have a number of forward bookings well into the future, so we already have schools, corporates and community groups who are, as we speak, currently planning to use this space. If more people are going to live around Claysbrook and East Perth in general, spaces like Perth City Farm need to be treated as part of what makes the area livable. Use us to attract people to the space. Perth City Farm is already really well connected. As I mentioned, we are right beside Claysbrook train station, 2 minutes from the station to the gate. Right outside the gate, we have a yellow cat bus as well. We're walking distance to here, walking distance to the cafe strip. So we're well connected. That part is taken care of. The next step is making the walk between places feel safe, obvious and pleasant, and connecting the precincts so it actually connects the whole neighbourhood. When the plan talks about community infrastructure, it's important that includes existing functioning community areas like Perth City Farm. We provide environmental education, wellbeing outcomes, and inclusive access right in the middle of the city, so we should be used as part of your planning. Our ask is really simple. As the improvement scheme is developed, make sure it recognises established areas like ours, protects, I've done that part already, and also that we're part of it. And just like you, we want Claysbrook to keep getting better. We would like to be continually engaged and help where we can. And we know growth is coming. We've been here for 30 years. There's been a lot of change around us, and we want to continue to support that growth and the betterment of the area. So we look forward to working with you all, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Megan. And unfortunately, this isn't a statement, I guess, session from elected members. It's only a question session. So if I was going to make a statement, I would say what an amazing job you guys are doing, but I can't, so I won't.
Thank you.
Anyone got any questions? Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. I actually met you, Megan, at the Remeda event a couple of months ago.
Thinking you look familiar.
Yes, and we touched on this briefly, actually, because you just become the new CEO and your concerns were around this. So I guess my question I have today is, in terms of the approach and the conversations with state government itself, what have they had with you, and what potentially have you had with them in regards to that space being non-profit? And obviously the site's been there for maybe over, 30 years now?
Yeah, 32 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So after I had met you, I looked into what was happening, and I wrote to John Kerry basically the next week, and I took that to my board. So we wrote a letter of support because we want high density. That makes sense for us. We're a sustainability hub. It makes sense to have more people there. We don't want urban sprawl. So we have written to him. We have not met with him yet, and we've only had a correspondence back that he's had that. So yes, that is it. And then Catherine let me know about this as well. So this is where I'm at the moment. Thank you.
Fantastic. Any other questions? No, awesome. Great
Thank
to see
you
you.
very much.
Thank you very much for your deputation. Moving right along to number 3, which is the City of Perth parking fee review. We've got spokesman Alexandra Abbott and Dean Irving to come forward. Hello, Alexandra.
Hello. Good afternoon.
And Dean, if you guys would like to just quickly state your name and your suburb and make your deputation.
Hello. So my name is Alexandra Abbott, and I am a consultant On the Point in East Perth. And so I actually live in Sorrento, but my interests lie with On the Point in East Perth. And
yeah, I'm Dean Irvine from On the Point in East Perth.
okay, so I'm going to address you all today. Lord Mayor, Madam CEO, councillors, thank you for the opportunity to address you. I've been engaged as a marketing and business development consultant On the Point for the past 3 years, and I appear today on behalf of the landlord, management and tenant businesses of the precinct. Many of you will recall that at the end of November last year, we issued an open letter to the council regarding event approvals, parking impacts and business viability at Point Fraser. That letter was not political in tone. It was procedural. It asked for transparency, consultation and adherence to the city's own policies. Today's issues raise similar governance considerations. Point Fraser is not a core CBD retail strip. It is a perimeter waterfront asset. It does not benefit from incidental foot traffic, and it requires deliberate visitation. It operates with distance friction, perception friction, and limited cross-activation. When access mechanisms are altered at the centre of CBD, the economic effect is diffused, but when they're altered at the edge, the impact is magnified. The 1 hour free parking period has functioned as a short stay activation tool for already a structurally disadvantaged precinct. The $400,000 projection, which is referenced in the report, the officer report projects approximately $400,000 in additional revenue from removing the free hour. However, the modelling assumptions underpinning that projection are not actually disclosed. There is no published detail regarding occupancy modelling, compliance assumptions, behavioural elasticity, or the impact of short stay turnover. In public administration, especially where decisions materially affect rate-paying businesses, transparency of modelling should not be optional. It is the foundation of good governance. We respectfully suggest that revenue extraction should not precede modelling disclosure. Dean, who is with me today, met with the city parking inspector prior to Christmas to demonstrate the discrepancy between the Easy Park transactional data and actual physical occupancy at Point Fraser. On multiple occasions, the car park appeared physically full, yet City of Perth data suggested otherwise. Now, Dean has that information with him and can talk on that point and give you an example which happened prior to Christmas. We have several examples where that data is not reflecting the actual position.
Okay, for instance, on the 8th to the 11th on Saturday, the peak occupancy was 75%, yet 77 infringements were issued, and that was at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. The 77 infringements would be over 25% of the car park. On the 15th of the 11th, Saturday, at 7 o'clock, it said 83% occupancy, 15 infringements. On the 21st of the 11th, Friday, 73% occupancy at 7 o'clock, 75 infringements. So again, it's over 25% in infringements of unrecorded.
So, really, our point is that in an open-air, non-boom gated facility, compliance variability affects the reliability of transaction-based modelling. If projected revenue increases rely primarily on transactional data without adjusting for behavioural and enforcement variability, the $400,000 figure may not reflect realised conditions. Before removing an activation mechanism, we would encourage review of enforcement and data validation. We note that other city assets receive financial support mechanisms, including capital contributions and preferential leasing arrangements. We do not begrudge support for the community or central precinct assets. However, it raises a policy question. Why remove a low-cost access mechanism from a peripheral rate-paying precinct while subsidising others closer to the CBD? If the city's purpose is to deliver sustainable surpluses to support infrastructure and businesses, then economic activation return must be weighed alongside parking revenue. I can give you personal experience of the problematic situation that On the Point and the businesses there face when we try to activate ourselves.
Alexandra, just before you do that, we're approaching 6.5 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So I'm okay for you to provide an example or two, but
I
just
will
bear
just
in
give
mind
you one and then sum up.
That'd be cool, just in case.
When the Terracotta Army came to town, we were very interested in participating in the lantern display which accompanied that exhibition. However, we were told that we were too far away from the main CBD, and also that it would cost too much money to activate those lanterns at On the Point. So really, in conclusion, we are not asking for a subsidy. We're asking for proportionate, evidence-based decision-making that recognises structural differences within the city's geography. Access mechanisms are activation tools. Before one is removed, the modelling should be transparent and the impact properly assessed. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Could I just ask one quick question? Your notes, could you email through them to the elected members, please, just so we can have a review,
absolutely.
and also to our administration team? That'd be fantastic. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Gonsalve, DLM.
Thanks. Just wanted to clarify, so just based on the modelling, and you're saying that the modelling may not indicate that demand is elastic and that it may not, the expected revenue may not follow through because people change their behaviour.
I think the problem really is the fact that we haven't seen the modelling. We don't actually know. It could be very reliable modelling, but it hasn't been disclosed. Likewise, there hasn't been any consultation of the businesses at On the Point either. If you refer to the report, it actually says consultation nil, which, you know, from our point of view is unhelpful.
Okay, thank you.
And just one further question. While, you know, we do have 1 hour free parking in other areas of the city, one of the major gaps, I think, in that area is public transport. And so it's been a long-standing advocacy push by community groups to push for the green or the purple cat, which currently serves West Perth, to be extended into East Perth and potentially down Riverside Drive and on the Point. Would that would help?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, we would welcome any sort of movement towards making us better connected to the rest of the city. The current bus number 24 actually starts at a rather obscure spot on St George's Terrace, if you don't know the city. And so it's for tourists, it's very difficult for them. They wouldn't even bother. It's only if you happen to be travelling to East Perth, I think, that you then know that bus route exists and comes to On the Point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. Can I ask, as an organisation, I know you have many different outlets there On the Point. What type of marketing and promotions do you guys do to make people who attend or wanting to attend events, what kind of connections they have to get to that spot easily without having to use the parking? So like the 24, where it starts and finishes, what times it runs, etc. What kind of marketing do you do around that?
Well, we always mention the bus in all of our marketing. We also, at busy times of the year, encourage people to take ride shares, etc. In fact, we lifted your wording from the Australia Day celebrations and repeated that for our own Australia Day celebrations. But you see, I arrived at the Point that day at 3 o'clock, and already the car park was pretty much full with families going to your celebrations. And whilst we don't begrudge the community that choice, we do feel that having lost parking spots there and having so many businesses and people who are employed by the businesses and customers and so on, that to remove this free parking is going to be highly detrimental to the overall economic position of all of us there situated On the Point.
And just another question. When the state government decided to build the Burraloop Bridge and remove all those car parking spaces, how many spaces were they, sorry?
We lost 95 spaces.
95 spaces.
And I think if you go back in time and perhaps also cross-reference the open letter that we sent you in November, there was a parking consultation which took place prior to the development of On the Point as a hospitality precinct. Mm-hmm. And as such, obviously there's been a material change with the impact of the Burraloop Bridge, but we have ongoing issues with that in terms of it's a fantastic installation, but there's still very poor signage when it comes to all of the restaurants and hospitality venues situated On the Point.
Sure. So on that note, can I ask what sort of participation has the state government had in terms of assisting you with the fact that installation actually belongs to Main Roads and them, and the City of Perth, I believe my understanding is, just owns the land that sort of enters the bridge? That's right.
So I am conscious about not engaging in a political debate here, but I feel it's fair to say that prior to the bridge being opened, that there was sort of a lack of discourse between state and city government, which was obstructive when it came to actually properly activating that incredible installation, which, from our point of view, we felt stuck between a rock and a hard place. And as far as we're concerned, we're open to working with partners. We celebrate the location. We think it's incredible. We think more people in Perth should be aware of it. And we are open to working with any city activations to bring more people to that incredible location that is On the Point at Point Fraser.
Okay, thank you. And one quick question. So for those playing at home, they might not understand why the recommendation from the city administration is to remove the free parking component. I think is it $400 or $1 million, Steve, that we lose on that space? Just roughly, sorry.
Through you, Lord Mayor, we estimate it's about 650,000 lost to the city this year.
Cool. So where that sits is at around 650,000. That would mean that the ratepayers, the broader ratepayers, to about 0.65% of an interest of a rate hike. Would be what it costs, and that's fine. That's because your points were fine around how other areas and all that, and it makes perfect sense. My quick question though is to try and I guess appease the ratepayer concern and cost. If there was an element of a section that was still 1 hour, say 15-20%. Would that be a safer landing ground for you? I'm just a question on what your thoughts would be around that.
I mean, again, I think we would need to see the modelling.
Yeah.
I would also say again, I do believe that currently your losses are also contingent on the policing of non-compliant visitors to Point Fraser. So we know, for example, that the parking meter attendants clock off at 9 o'clock. I know that there was a concerted effort prior to Christmas to be more present, and we did see them there. However, I mean, we haven't really seen anyone policing the area very much at all recently. So I do feel that that part of the whole picture needs to also be considered when we're talking about loss, because is that loss actually potentially the council not properly policing the fines?
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's a little bit hard to know without all the evidence. Although you did mention earlier around some infringements, so someone's been out there, but that's okay. Look, appreciate your time. Fantastic deputation. Certainly food for thought for our EM team and our administration team. And yeah, we'll see where that lands.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, thank you.
Okay, item 4 is 14.3, Perth Bowling Club Recreation Club lease proposal. Spokesperson is Peter French and Mr. Aaron Delaporte. Speaking for the bowling club. Yep, Councillor Pakin and Councillor Gobbett need to leave. And for those who don't know Peter, Peter's got the best job in town and probably the best tan because of his job. Good to see you, Peter.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, councillors and CA. Appreciate the opportunity to speak today. As the Lord Mayor just told you, I'm Peter French. I'm the president of the Perth Bowling and Recreation Club. I have been president for the last 6 years and have a thorough understanding of how the club operates. I'm here on behalf of the club to ask elected members to support a 5-year lease and associated funding in relation to agenda item 14.3. The decision is not simply about a sporting club. It is about certainty, responsibility in investment, community activation and sound management of a city-owned asset. Certainty enables responsible investment. So the club is currently fully funding the installation of a new synthetic bowling green. This is at a cost of $280,000. This is at no cost to the city. This is a significant capital investment, and like any responsible organisation, we must be able to demonstrate a reasonable return on the investment. A 5-year lease provides financial certainty, confidence to invest, protection against stranded or unrecoverable expenditure. Without appropriate lease security, we would be financially irresponsible for the club to continue investing substantial funds in a city-owned facility. The lease length enables access to state government funds. We've been hamstrung for the last 20 years. We have not been able to apply for any grants. We don't have certainty of tenure. A longer lease term is also critical to our ability to secure state funding for sporting and infrastructure grants. Most of these programs require long-term security and a lease that extends beyond the life of the funded asset. Without a lease, the club is materially disadvantaged or even eligible to qualify. In addition, a 5-year lease allows the city's assets to leverage external state funding, reduce reliance on city resources and deliver greater value for the community. This certainly also unlocks facility improvements. Beyond the greens, the club has staged an improvement plan, renovation of the kitchens, cool room, replacing of ageing and poor functioning air conditioning, replacement of carpets and flooring in badly worn areas. These upgrades cannot be undertaken responsibly without lease certainty. A lease allows us to budget properly, stage the work sensibly and maintain the facility to the standard the community expects. As far as planning, program and activation, the certainty of tenure is essential for forward planning. The lease enables the club to schedule competitions and fixtures well in advance, confirm corporate and community functions with confidence, attract repeated events and partnerships and particularly sponsorships. This directly aligns with the city's objectives around activation, vibrancy and safe, consistent use of the public spaces. Strong community demand and pathway to participation. The club has actively modernised its approach to the community engagement through social media promotion, road and on-site signage, media interest and strong word-of-mouth advocacy. As a direct result, membership has surged, with over 190 new members joining in the past 4 weeks alone. Total membership is currently sitting at 588 members and continues to increase on a daily basis. Importantly, a growing proportion of this recent growth is coming from the City of Perth residents, particularly those living and working in East Perth and the inner city, and this reflects a strong local demand for accessible community-based facilities. As we attract increasing numbers of social members, the club is also actively aligning with Bowls Australia Play Well Participation Plan. Is that right, Aaron? You're an expert on this one. Which includes community guides specifically designed to increase bowls participation. We are actively trying to convert social members to bowlers. The national framework was developed in consultation with the Gambler Group, a leading authority in sports data, analytics, strategy and communications. These evidence-based strategies will be central to converting social members into active bowling participants, ensuring that the bowls will continue to grow, not decline. The demonstration that social membership is not an endpoint but a structured pathway into participation consistent with modern sport development best practice. A bit about the bowling club. This is a snapshot, but today the club supports a wide range of community activity, including Vibra, which is the blind bowlers, Perth Ladies Darts, Snooker and Billiards Club, the Hash Running Group, Stay Sharp, which is a weekly elderly program, the Perth Naval Association, Probus, Rotary, and then a multiple of corporate and social functions which happen throughout the year and help us remain financially viable. It provides a safe, accessible and centrally located place for people to meet, connect and participate in community life. Why is a 5-year lease a responsible decision? From a governance and asset management perspective, a 5-year lease encourages private investment into city-owned assets, enables access to state government funding, reduces long-term maintenance pressure on the city, and maintains flexibility for future planning. It is a measured, low-risk and high-return decision. In closing, councillors, the club is not seeking certainty without accountability. We are investing our own funds to the amount of approximately $460,000. We are actively growing membership rapidly, particularly among City of Perth residents. We are activating a city-owned asset and welcoming the broader community. The lease will allow us to do this responsibly, confidently and sustainably. We respectfully ask councillors to support agenda item 14.3 and the proposed 5-year lease and associated funding. In doing so, you're supporting a thriving community hub in the heart of East Perth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm a social member. Do you have the percentage of the members in total that are within the city?
Anecdotal evidence, I can tell you in the last month alone, 190 members have joined, 77% were residents.
Right. Okay, great. And just one final thing, am I right in thinking that because it's a city asset that the club doesn't pay rates?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. I have a few questions. So my first one is, can the club confirm its capacity to meet co-contribution and ongoing maintenance obligations over the lease of the term?
Yes.
Thank you. How will the club ensure regular activation and community engagement and report those key performance metrics annually?
We're currently putting together a strategic plan. This is based on whether we get the lease or not, but that will be put in place over the next month or so.
Excellent, thank you. Does the club have a plan for capital works like the kitchen, air conditioning, so to minimise disruption during the works?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
How would the club manage relocation or operational disruptions if the city exercised the break clause?
I'm afraid we'd have to deal with that at the time, Councillor.
Okay. Again, likewise with Councillor Leeser, I've noticed a huge increase in membership, and congratulations on that success. How was this achieved? How have you done it?
Possibly through our social media campaign, which has been particularly targeting local members over the last month or two. There's noticeable interest in the lease happening at the club. It's the most popular question I get from members. A little bit of media exposure hasn't hurt. I think I had a little bit of a photo shoot today, which it comes out reasonably well in the latter of the week. That together with incentives. We're offering very cheap membership. We really want the members aboard. We're doing everything as far as our planning goes. We want to really present them with a club we're proud of.
For the record, how much is the membership on the social, just while we're in the city?
$30.
Excellent, thank you. And how do you plan to ensure the level of membership growth continues in that sort of forward direction?
We'll continue targeting.
Okay.
If we upgrade the facility from what it is now, I think it's a foregone conclusion. We know the organic growth will be there. We present good caterers. We provide better, cleaner facilities. The club's a very, very cold club in winter time, and it's a very hot club in summertime. We want to improve the ambience of the club and the general comfort for the club and the members that come to it.
That's great. Thank you for your responses, Peter, and your deputation. Thanks.
Yes, well said. Well, good questions. Any other questions from the floor? All right, thank you, lads. Thank you very much for your deputation here. Okay, we'll just grab our councillors. There he is. Hey, mate. Okay, welcome back, councillors. Item 16.3, Major Leverage Opportunity 2026 Lightscapes. Can I please ask Sue McDougall and Ian Kiley to come forward? Hello, Sue. Good to see you again.
So nice to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Sue McDougall and I'm representing BGPA, which is Botanic Gardens and Parks Authority. I actually live out of the city, but I get to enjoy Kings Park every day. So Lightscape, we thank City of Perth for being involved in the last 3 years, and it really is a global phenomenon supported by City of Perth, and it's become a winter tradition in Perth, I think. And I think we can say Perth has grown up. We dare to venture outside on wintry nights and genuinely celebrate the seasons now. And I think I have, and many around Perth and around our visitors at BGPA, have come to think of Lightscape as a celebration. It's a celebration of winter in Western Australia, and something we're very proud of to be involved in. And over 400,000 people attended Lightscape in the last 3 years, and it's achieved what the Botanic Gardens and Parks Authority, BGPA, and City of Perth envisaged in the first place, a world-class event in the City of Perth at Kings Park, which showcases the West Australian Botanic Garden to a very wide audience. And I have no greater pleasure than when I see families celebrating our natural environment and highlights the crucial work that we are doing for our unique flora and celebrating Western Australia. So Lightscape 2025 had some fantastic feedback I'd love to share with you. 82% of people said that they'd recommend the event to others. And we are proud to say that we achieved 79% positive feedback on our access and inclusion, and that's something we're very proud of, to be involved with City of Perth on a sloping site, the opportunity to work each year with a City of Perth Access and Inclusion Advisory Group to ensure the nearly 2-kilometre trail is accessible as possible has been crucial to the success of the event. Our 4th year of Lightscape promises to be strongest to date. We are installing bigger and brighter installations along the 1.8 kilometre trail with over 20 unique installations in addition to crowd favourites curated by award-winning artists. And the cultural significance of the site is to be celebrated in 2026. We're pairing the new installation with spoken word and will guarantee an immersive journey. New showstoppers like mycelium, which is very much a botanical word, but we're bringing the artwork to the Botanic Garden, is a delicate network of awe-inspiring fibre optics and a 60-metre tunnel of light, which will morph around our visitors as they traverse the gardens. And Kings Park, one thing we can't forget, is at the top of the list for both visitors and locals. And it's the connection to our community that BGPA is very proud of, and we hold that very close to our heart. And I think is the driving force behind the importance we put on community-created events and artworks. And who can forget the featured artworks from children across the state last year featuring bugs and animals which are important to the environment. This year we're calling on community to contribute one installation under the theme of the role of the Botanic Garden in celebrating 50 years of education. 2026 is a year we also celebrate success stories from Kings Park with plants back from the edge. Kings Park and Botanic Garden in Perth leads significant conservation efforts for Western Australian flora through advanced seed banking tissue culture, and it's crucial to protect the biodiversity and support the threatened species. And City of Perth has been an integral part of that and have been an integral partner to bring the messages to the community through Lightscape. These are important conservation messages for all of the environment. The City of Perth is involved in major events across the calendar year, ensuring the city remains vibrant and exciting for locals and visitors. And we're proud to be part of City of Perth. Lightscape's partnership with the City of Perth helps us amplify our joint conversations and conservation messages through the prism of a world-class event. On sale date for 2026 is the middle of March, something we're very excited about. And this will be backed by a substantial marketing campaign programmed to match buying patterns. And it's important we ensure the event is affordable for families. And once again, the family of 4 ticket price is under $100 for off-peak, and it's amongst the best in the market. Also, the 25 to 45 market age bracket for Lightscape remains strong, and nearly 50% of attendees to Lightscape are in this prime spending demographic. So we're set to run a week longer, something we're very excited about, and are working closely with Development WA to deliver an activation at Elizabeth Quay. And once again, we'll be partnering with local businesses, especially around Elizabeth Quay, to leverage the Lightscape event with special offers and discounts. And we would love the City of Perth to be on board again and share our mission to raise awareness of conservation and deliver cultural, economic and community benefits through engaging and inclusive programming. Thanks so much for the opportunity to present to you today.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sue. Great to see you. Is there any questions? Councillor Paikin.
Thank you. Through you, Lord Mayor. Sue, great to see you. Great to hear your voice again. It's like a warm hug from our 6PR days. Look, the feedback has been from the residents in the City of Perth that the event and the activation is great, but one pinch point, and there's a couple of questions here which you touched on, is firstly, how do you come up with the ticketing figures? And does your modelling show that perhaps lowering the ticket price, $136 for a family, might be a little bit on the pricier side? Could that increase the patronage?
It costs so much to put the event on. that's just what it is, bringing freight component and bringing the event together. So we have off-peak rates, so weeknight rates and timed rates. We have a family of 4 for under $100, and that's something we've really worked closely with to keep that that price point down. I think it's really important. Cost of living is at the front of everyone's mind, and being able to enjoy something that's such a fantastic activation that's also educational is something really important. So we also, when you look at the demographic, the family numbers are quite high. So it's a balance. It's always a balance, and it's just the cost to put the event on is huge. So we actually do have to cover our costs for that.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. Sue, great deputation, and Lightscape is always a fantastic time in the city when the city in the winter is pretty dead. But my question is around the stats for visitors that we had this year. It was great that it increased, but have you got anything where you can drill it down to see how many of those were international, interstate, and local?
Yeah,
please?
Mostly local. From the stats, the interstate is very small. So it's actually a local event, and it's something that celebrates our local community. So City of Perth residents, and we find lots of people catch the train in as well. So very much metropolitan Perth residents. We do have, I can't put the percentage off the top of my head, but I think from memory it's about 2.5% interstate. International is, Lightscape's on for residents that are already here. Visitors that are already here, but very much Perth event. And I think that's something we can celebrate because people actually feel that it's very much part of the community. It's their event. Everyone owns Kings Park, and that's what we want Kings Park to be. We want to be able to have it activated with families at different times of the year and getting those messages out in a different way. I mean, visiting the Botanic Garden at night is not something that you'd normally think of, but you really appreciate how beautiful the city looks too, I must say, those viewpoints and the city looking in. But just being able to appreciate nature at night is something we're all very proud of and proud to be part to deliver.
Brilliant. And I've just had two other questions. So the first one around that communication going out to the hotels, especially along the terrace. So I know last year and even the year before, I took loads of handouts out and handed them over to the Pan Pacific, the West End, the ones that are close to where I live. And some of the hotels had no clue, didn't know what it was. So what kind of interaction will Kings Park be doing with those big hotel groups, especially now along the quay? And how will the connection work? Because I remember there was a bus that ran. Yeah. Will you be doing that again?
Yeah, so the bus, we're working with Development WA. So the shuttle bus starts at Elizabeth Quay. So there'll be activation at Elizabeth Quay. And we really want to, if we can get a higher percentage of people being able to use the bus, I think that's a really good transit point, and it's also a good entry point to the City of Perth. We work with the concierge group with the hotels and hand out pamphlets, and we've got an active group that within our team, our engagement team, we have Ian behind me, who is actually committed to make sure that, because, I mean, where else would you go in winter in Perth if you're an international tourist? Go and enjoy Lightscape in Kings Park. It's a great opportunity to be able to enjoy. So, yeah, thank you.
All righty, no more questions? Oh, sorry, Councillor Goncalves, DLM.
Thank you. You just mentioned there about bus routes, and I'm wondering, the Blue Cat and the Purple Cat both have limited hours of operation. Would extending those hours during Lightscape assist in getting people?
We have worked with PTA, so the Transport Authority. It's the exit coming out of Kings Park that's always tricky. So the 935 up St George's Terrace works really well, and then around. So it's that route that's is a long way around, particularly if people are trying to take the train. Getting home is a long way around for the cat route. So that's why we have a dedicated shuttle bus. People, I find, when they want to get there, they just want to be on the bus, they want to get there. When they want to get home, they've got kids and it's cold and it's, all you want to do is get home. So that's one of the driving forces of the reason why we do make sure that shuttle bus is accessible for many as possible. And it runs, very close, peak nights, it's quite close. It's either 7 or 15 minutes time frame, so you can get out when you want to. Because we have limited parking in Kings Park, of course. So, yeah, you don't want people stuck in traffic jams. Yeah.
The other question is, in our report, it mentions 26 local businesses that were engaged and leveraged off the event. And I know community members have brought that up. Can you provide any more detail as to which businesses have been involved? And
yeah, I might be able to refer to our engagements manager for that one, and also can supply more information. Thanks, Ian.
Hello, Lord Mayor, elected members. Yeah, so that is a lot around the businesses we engage in around Elizabeth Quay and along that terrace area. So we will go out with discounts. That's what we did last year. So we created a little package, and we work with the City of Perth's economic development team, and then we would go out and engage with those businesses. So some hotels and restaurants around the area. And then also it combined local businesses that were actually on site as well. So it was a combination of those two.
And did it include West Perth businesses as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
And my last question was just around the officer's recommendation is around reducing funding to 60,000. What kind of impact will that have?
It has an impact for access, really, being able to get people up and down to the event, and then being able to build on that community artwork, because being able to build on that as an installation is something important. But the shuttle bus and that activation is quite costly to get people up there. So it's actually just what we can deliver for the budget we've got.
And the very last question, just on the what I mentioned there in terms of the business and business engagement, does having that support enable more local businesses to be involved?
Yeah, I think we'd probably say the same thing, but for sure it definitely helps. The being able to leverage the funds that we get through you will definitely help us to go out and spend our more money towards that and engaging more of the community. It definitely gives us more flexibility to do that, so it is very important. It definitely does help. Of course, part of our role is to engage with the CBD anyway, so it is important to us to make sure we do that either way, but for sure there is definite benefits to the funding. The more funding we're able to use, the more funding we will be able to go and engage people in the CBD and beyond. Yep.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Great to see you both.
Thank you.
All the very best. Okay, item 6, our last deputation is the suspension of travel deputation by Vicky Renifevsky. Vicky, if you please come forward. Name and suburb, please.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. My name's Vicky Renishevsky, City of Perth ratepayer and community advocate. My deputation tonight relates to agenda item 19.2, putting ratepayers first, suspension of council travel. I'm here to support Councillor Leese's motion to temporarily suspend city-funded interstate and international travel by council members. This is really about common sense and respect for ratepayers. The city is currently facing around $285,000 in immediate, unanticipated costs, including legal fees, monitoring costs, and work arising from the psychosocial risk assessment. These figures are current estimates, with a high likelihood that costs may increase further. When unexpected costs come up, households tighten their budgets. Ratepayers expect their council to do the same. The motion doesn't stop councillors from doing their jobs, and it doesn't cancel travel forever. It simply recognises that now is not the time for non-essential travel, especially when remote participation is available. The proposed travel pause could save around $110,000. That's real money that helps reduce pressure on ratepayers and provides a buffer against further cost increases. More importantly, it sends a clear message that council understands the situation and is prepared to lead by example. At a time when public trust matters, decisions like this help rebuild confidence. For those reasons, I strongly support this motion and encourage Council to vote in favour of Councillor Leese's motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Vicky. Has anyone got any questions? No, that's great.
I have one.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, thanks,
Councillor
Lord Mayor.
Dr.
Thank
Coe.
you. Thanks, Vicky, for coming in and speak about this. I guess my question is, why not get rid of business class travel as opposed to banning travel altogether? If this is genuinely about money, why aren't we talking about business class travel?
We're talking about all travel temporarily, putting a pause on it right now. That's what I'm focused on at the moment.
No, I don't think so. Anyway, but I actually ran on a campaign on no business class travel for any councillors. But in saying that, it's something that I realised I cannot do. So I've actually pledged not to fly business class. But I would like to ask why now? Why not? Because I remember a couple of promises by other councillors and candidates for mayor to actually ban business class travel, and I have not seen that yet.
It's an opinion. Okay, any other questions? No. Thank you. Thank you, Vicky. Good to see you. Okay, well done for the deputations, ladies and gentlemen. It was fantastic to see you all, and I'm sure we'll see you at the next council meeting with some questions. Through to items 7 to 10, ladies and gentlemen, we've got items 7 to 10 will be dealt with in the next ordinary council meeting next week. Item 11.1 is the shaping Perth City Centre towards 2036 and beyond. There have been no questions with notice. Are there any questions on this item from the floor? No, we can move on. 11.2, submissions of draft station precinct improvement plan for the Claysbrook station. We've had two deputations on this item. We've got no questions with notice from our members. Are there any questions on this one from the floor? No?
Yep, sure.
All right, sorry. Deputy Lord Mayor.
Through you, Lord Mayor.
Sure.
Just a question there to follow up on the deputation. Just, there was a mention there of a cooperative model with our neighbouring council. Does the administration have any view on how that could work and what benefits it might have?
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think we'll take that on notice, CEO, is that, or?
If I may, thank you very much, Lord Mayor. Just in response, we work very collaboratively with all of our inner city colleagues, and particularly with the City of Vincent. We have had discussions about that particular batching plant, and I do understand that state government may have some interest in resolving some of the challenges faced there as well. So if we may take that on notice, I think you'll find there are other parties very much involved in that discussion.
Okay, thank you. So we'll take that on notice. Any other questions? No, thank you. Let's move forward to 11.3, which is the City of Perth motion for ALGA 2026, the National General Assembly. There have been no questions on this one with notice. Are there any questions on this one from the floor? Oh, two questions, Councillor Doshi and then Councillor Pat.
Yes, my question's to the administration for 11.3. What tangible benefit will the ratepayer receive from advancing this advocacy, and how will success be measured beyond participation or visibility?
Through to the CEO.
Thank you. Could I ask the General Manager, Planning and Sustainability to respond? Thank you.
Through the Lord Mayor, the benefits, I guess, is really about putting the neighbours rating as a requirement for apartment development. So should this be a successful deputation to ALGA and proceed, I guess, to the changes that are being put forward, you would see that any, I guess, new developments and any other opportunities for more sustainable apartment development and residential development being mandatory, which means that from a resident and buyer perspective, they would know what they're purchasing. There would be clear energy ratings associated with those developments, so that there is tangible, I guess, savings from not just the actual purchase, but also the ongoing life costs and running costs of those apartments going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. And how does the council ensure that advocacy does not privilege one dwelling type or a precinct at the expense of the broader citywide priority?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
And back to the General Manager, Planning and Sustainability, please.
Through the Lord Mayor, the advocacy is really about the neighbours' ratings for apartment buildings. So it is for, this is the specific motion that you have before you. If you want that to be extended beyond apartment buildings, then you would need to change the recommendation. But at this stage, it is about apartment buildings being the focus of this particular motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Patton.
Yeah, look, overall, I think this motion does have quite a lot of merit with it. But one concern I've got, given the housing crisis, are we worried that this level of transparency has the potential to devalue a lot of older properties?
Good question. Through to the CEO.
Thank you. And to the General Manager, Planning and Sustainability, please.
Through the Lord Mayor, I can't really answer that question in terms of the impact that it would have on the market value of those properties.
Any further questions? Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thanks. Just as a follow-up onto that particular question around older buildings and potentially retrofitting older buildings so that they can meet that same level of classification. Through you, Lord Mayor, does the administration have any view on how that could be managed in a way that does enable older buildings to be lifted up to that standard or gain that rating?
All right. Thank you very much. Through to the CEO.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Deputy Lord Mayor, I think, and coming back to Councillor Patton, your question a little bit more, that these ratings can actually be a determiner for some people who might be wanting to purchase property. So actually it can have a distinct advantage to have the rating. And again, given our sustainability ambitions, having more buildings that actually achieve higher ratings has a benefit across our city. In saying that, as it relates to older buildings, Deputy Lord Mayor, that can be very challenging. And like many other compliance requirements, it is an overlay for the property owners. However, I think the city's approach to our various grants and sponsorships as it relates to buildings, and particularly heritage buildings, I think is a way of the city supporting that ambition towards improving our sustainable building stock.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? No, beautiful, thank you. Moving through to item 12 and 13, there are no reports for Community Development Alliance or Infrastructure Operations Alliance. 14.1 is the Corporate Business Plan for 25-26 through to 28-29, Quarterly Progress Report 2. There have been no questions received with notice. Are there any questions on that item from the floor? No, thank you. 14.2, City of Perth Parking Review. There are no questions on that item with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? Yep. Councillor Lisa.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So we heard a deputation earlier. Can I just confirm with the admin that this is the only off-street car park in the city that currently offers 1 hour free car parking?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. And if I could invite Steve Holden, our General Manager Commercial, to respond to that question. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Through the Lord Mayor, yes, that's correct. This is the only car park that offers this 1 hour free structure.
Okay, thank you. DLM, you have a question?
Actually, just a follow-up to that. For the on-street parking, where do we offer 1 hour free parking? And yeah, I'll start off with that question.
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
I think if I may, through the Lord Mayor, take that on notice, only in that there is different parts of our city where that is available, in West Perth, East Perth, so we might be better to provide you with a map with those available opportunities.
And the follow-up question to that is through you, Lord Mayor, to have detail as to how many car bays are allocated in each of those zones, where Royal Street, etc.
All right, thank you. I think we'll take that on notice, connected to that last question. Any other questions on that item? Oh, another question, and then Councillor Patton.
Happy to yield to...
No, you go. You're on a roll.
We heard there that provision of CAT bus and more public transport would be beneficial. Can the city provide any work on advocacy, particularly around extending the green and purple cats, which, as I mentioned before, only service West Perth and would be ideal to extend out into East Perth, that would and mirror what the yellow and red cat buses do, which is link up both sides of the city. So it'd be good to understand if that advocacy is being progressed by the city.
Thank you. Good question. Through to the CEO.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. And in response, our capital city plan and also the GEL work, which you are considering tonight, do talk about our transport modes and particularly how the cat bus routes are around, how they move around the city. We're also looking at a briefing next week with councillors on the transport strategy. So there are many very positive recommendations coming out of that. The issue to do with the CAT bus routes has been a constant on our advocacy with the Department of Transport, Director General, and also the Committee for Perth meetings that we've had. And so there has been a strong advocacy ongoing about how those networks can really work positively for the city. I would also just mention, in case it wasn't clear in the paper, that actually on the point parking after 6 o'clock is free. So when we talk about the 1 hour free, so after 6, I think if I could check to make sure that I get it absolutely correct, if I could just invite the General Manager Commercial to make sure I'm correct for the record when it is actually free.
Thank you, CEO. Through the Lord Mayor. Okay, so the 1 hour free is up till 6 o'clock. After 6, it's $5 like every other car park.
Great. Should be free.
Thank you.
The further questions I had were just, we heard there around modelling not being provided. Can council receive the modelling so that we can be better informed in this decision?
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
I could invite the General Manager Commercial to respond. Thank you.
Certainly. The modelling is based off the number of transactions that occurred in terms of short-term parking. So that's what we've based it off. There's no extreme science to it. It's the number of transactions that have occurred up to a 4-hour window.
And just to clarify, that will be provided to council?
I'll get you to answer that one, CEO. But yeah, it sounds like the answer was just given then. Do you have anything further to add? Or is that pretty much that?
I think I'm requesting the underlying data and the underlying modelling.
All right. So what I'll do is we'll take that on notice and then follow up to see what we have, if that's okay.
And I've got 2 more questions. The other question was, we heard there from the deputation that there wasn't any consultation. Is there any reason and what's happened there?
Okay, through to the CEO.
I think we could say there has been quite extensive consultation undertaken with On the Point. I'm not certain the General Manager Commercial has every single date, but we can provide that and will provide that. But maybe if I could invite the General Manager just to overview the extent of the consultation. And even more recently, I know the Lord Mayor and the General Manager Commercial actually met with the proponents as well. So there's been some very recent conversations, which is terrific.
Thank you. Through to you, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, CEO. Through you, Lord Mayor. Yeah, there's been an ongoing consultation with On the Point. Now, part of our agreement with On the Point is that we will consult with them over the adjacent car park. which we've been doing, as I say, over several years. This includes how events impact on the car park, how the hour free impacts on the car park, how the zones that we've split at the moment impacts the car park. So there's a yellow and a green zone, again, unique to this car park to try and help support and facilitate their business down there. If the council was of a mind to run it differently, we'd probably run that as 100% commuter car park. But at the minute, over two-thirds is actually run as a short-term car park, and that's why during the week, Monday to Friday, probably 9 to 5, that car park in the commuter section runs full, but the hourly car parking section is underutilised. But again, that's there to support the on the point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and just my last question is there just about, we heard from, again, the deputation around the potential there with demand and whether the demand is elastic or whether it's reliant on the policing by parking inspectors. Can we have any advice there, and I'm happy for it to be taken on notice, as to the dynamics there or the economic kind of modelling aspect of whether what we heard with the deputation has any merit?
All right, thank you. I think we'll take that on notice. Councillor Patton.
Yeah, just a quick question. Has the administration considered how reducing the free parking at the cultural car parks from 3 hours to 2 hours, how will that affect the viability of the art gallery and museum during the school holidays?
Okay, thank you. Through the CEO.
If I could invite the General Manager Commercial to answer that question.
Okay. Those particular car parks we've looked at mainly from a shopping experience, and our evidence suggests that spend profile of somebody on a shopping trip, they spend most probably within the first hour, and then that tapers off. So if the longer you give people, the less that they sort of spend towards the tail end. The idea behind the converting it from a 3 hour or reducing it to a 2 hour is you get greater turnover and the greater ability for spend from more customers coming in.
And sorry, just a follow-up question. Would the administration consider extending during promotional periods, say, like you do with Christmas, and say, 3 hours free during school holidays for certain car parks where you know that there's family entertainment essentially nearby?
Thank you. Through the CEO.
And to the General Manager Commercial, please.
Thanks, CEO, and through you, Lord Mayor. Absolutely, that's up to the discretion of the CEO, and we do that already. So we do it for special events. We could extend that to school holidays. We thought that was a sensible idea. But for example, on Christmas Day, we try and encourage people to come into the city by giving people free parking. So yeah, there's definitely incentives and ability to be able to flex.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pagan.
Thank you. Through you, Lord Mayor. Question, do we have the ability or the technology now with the Easy Park app to potentially introduce dynamic pricing similar to, say, Uber, where we could potentially charge a premium at the convention centre on a Monday at 9 a.m. and that offsets a cheaper price on the point to encourage people to park there? Does that make sense?
Yep. Through the CEO.
The General Manager Commercial, please.
Thank you, CEO, through the Lord Mayor. Great question. The ability for dynamic pricing comes when we replace all of the equipment in our off-street car parks and introduce a booking system. So the booking system is where you actually get that flex and the ability to be able to dynamic price. So that's coming soon. That's definitely on the programme.
Any further questions? Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, and this is to you, Lord Mayor. I just wondered when the next City of Perth meeting with the Premier is, and the reason I asked that question is, would you consider putting that as a priority in terms of discussing the CAT route? I know we're going to talk about the transportation policy in between that period, but is there a time locked in where we can where you can discuss that with him as a priority for the City of Perth, but also the north-south corridor and that disconnect between Bennett Street, for example, Brook Street to Bennett and down to the water? Is that something that you would consider prioritising?
Yeah, look, I've definitely considered putting that on the agenda. So maybe if you want to catch up with me and talk about how we'd like to put that together. And with that, if there's anything else that anyone else would like to consider to put on the agenda with the Perth committee meeting, that'd be fantastic. No problem at all. We'll talk to the CEO about that as well. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we can move on. Everyone loves parking until we get a parking fine. 14.3, Perth Bowling and Recreation Club lease proposal. We have some interest. We have an impartiality interest for myself. Councillor Lisa has an impartiality interest. Councillor Paikin has a proximity interest. And Councillor Gobbett has a proximity interest. They will be required to leave if there are any further questions from the chamber on this item. We do have 3 questions with notice from Councillor Lisa. Councillor Lisa, are you satisfied with those answers?
Yes, thank you.
All right, any further questions? Oh, yes, we do. So we'll wait for the guys to vacate the premises. Councillor Doshi.
Thank you. How will so this is a question for the administration. How will the city monitor compliance with the activation clause, and what are the consequences if those obligations will not be met?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
And if I could invite the General Manager Commercial to answer that. Thank you.
Okay, so part of the lease proposal, within 6 months of lease commencement, the club and the city need to agree on a comprehensive activation plan that will have key metrics in there, KPIs. What will that happen then? That will be, they'll have to report on that on an annual basis. So, and then they will reset and formulate a new plan. So it will be monitored consistently, but we'll have an annual review and I suppose an annual reset of that plan over the 5 years. I think what it also does as well, it also enables us to see how that club's going to operate well into the future. So as we move into the potential for a new sports and recreation facility, we'll be able to see how that we're going to see. I think we're going to have a better picture about how that club is going to exist inside that facility.
Any further questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next item and we'll ask our councillors to come back into the room, please. Welcome back, councillors. Item 15.1 is the monthly financial statements for October 2025. Councillor Doshi has questions with notice. Councillor Doshi, have those been answered to your satisfaction?
I just have a couple of follow-ups on that one. So, sorry. So, point 3, in relation to individual payments. Councillor Gonzalez, Deputy Lord Mayor, receives on this document $10,694. Can I just confirm from the administration, this has come from a Claysbrook resident in the name of Philippa Vesta, asking is that the total amount, or does that include external bodies, external committees, including regional councils like Catalina?
Okay, thank you. I'll pop that through to the CEO.
Thank you. If I could ask our acting Manager, Governance and Policy to answer that. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Lord Mayor. Sorry, Councillor Doshi, I can't see you very well. I'll move over here. So these payments detailed on our monthly financials relate to payments from the City of Perth. Payments from the regional councils would not be appearing on our payments. These specifically are the monthly payments in arrears relating to annual attendance fees in lieu of council meeting, committee meetings and prescribed meeting attendance fees paid to all elected members, ICT allowances and the allowance for the Lord Mayor and Deputy Lord Mayor paid by the City of Perth only.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, fantastic. All right, to move forward on to 15.2, which is the schedule of accounts pay for November 2025. If there are no questions with notice, are there any questions on that item from the floor? Moving forward to 15.3, monthly financial statements for December 2025. No questions with notice. Any questions on that item from the floor? Thank you. 15.4, schedule of accounts paid for December 2025. No questions with notice. Any questions from the floor? Thank you. Mid-year budget review, 15.5. No questions with notice. Any questions from the floor? 15.6 is the WACA request for rates concession. We have two impartiality interests, myself and Councillor Leeser. We have no questions with notice. Are there any questions on this item from the floor? Nope. Thank you. 16, item 16, which is the Engagement and Activation Alliance Report. 16.1, Heritage Conservation Grants for 2025-2026. We haven't received any questions from with notice. We do have a proximity for myself and for Councillor Leeser, so if there are any questions, then we will leave the chamber and the Deputy Lord Mayor will preside over this item. Are there any questions? No? Okay, we can stay. 16.2, Business Relocation Grants. Indigenous Professional Services have applied. No questions with notice. Are there any questions on this item from the floor? 16.3 is the major leveraging opportunity for 2026 for Lightscapes. No questions with notice. Any questions from the floor? Councillor Gonsalves, DLM.
Thanks. Going through the proposal, this year it lists a number of a few extra details in each level of support that is requested from the city, whether it to be a major partner, a presenting partner, etc. As part of that, it talks about the provision of discounted tickets, general admission tickets, and test night tickets. So I wanted to understand, in the past, what's happened to all of the discounted tickets and general admission tickets. I understand the test tickets may have gone to some council members and the advisory groups, but I don't recall discounted tickets being made available to the community, and by all accounts, it looks quite substantial.
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
Thank you very much. When we talk about the soft launches, sometimes elected members and other members of community are invited. I think if we may take it on notice, we'll be able to give you the specifics. I can say in some situations when we receive tickets as part of sponsorship, we then use that for competitions, and so we use it as part of a marketing approach. But specifically, we will respond to your question. Thank you.
Just to follow up on that, can we get any advice through you, Lord Mayor, whether, at the level of supporting partner, there's access to 100 discounted tickets, but I note that if we choose one of the higher levels, I think the presenting partner gets up to 600 discounted tickets and 150 general admission absolutely free tickets. I'm wondering if provision of that can be made to the community and residents.
I think that'll probably fall back into the question on notice, but from the sounds of it, those allocations are based on the sponsorship level. So the more you pay for sponsorship, the more free tickets you get. So you're asking for us to negotiate for more tickets?
Not necessarily, just whether, firstly, to find out what's happened to the tickets in the past, and secondly, whether those ticket allocations at whatever level we choose can be made available to residents.
Yep, no problem. We'll take that one on notice. Any further questions? Probably the only thing I will add with the Lightscape series of questions this afternoon, guys, some of those questions are around the way that the proponent runs their business. We're really presiding over the application for sponsorship and what we and our ratepayers get in return for that sponsorship. So whilst I know that they'd love the advice on their business, just a consideration for next year, because we hope that they'll come back. 16.4 is the World Police and Fire Games variation to sponsorship agreement. No questions with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? Okay, thank you. 16.5 is the City of Perth ALGA 2026 National General Assembly, delivering equitable NBN fibre upgrade. No questions have been received with notice. Are there any questions on this one from the floor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Doshi.
Thank you. Through you, Lord Mayor. This is a question for the administration. I'm happy for you to take it on notice. But what tangible benefit will ratepayers receive from advancing this advocacy at the NGA, and how will success be measured beyond participation or just visibility?
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
If I could invite the General Manager, Events and Activations to respond, please.
Thank you, CEO. And through you, Lord Mayor, I think we should take that on notice if that's possible, please.
My next question, what are the direct and indirect costs to the city? I appreciate this will be on notice. And where is the value for money for the majority of ratepayers who would be subsidising this?
Okay, thank you. We'll take that one on notice.
And given broadband delivery is a Commonwealth responsibility, I believe from my research, I may stand corrected, and managed by NBN, what realistic influence can the city exert? And why is NGA advocacy the most effective use of resources, or is it?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
I think we might take that one on notice.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
And the last one is, what would administration define as a successful outcome for ratepayers?
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
We might take that on notice as well. Thank you very much, Councillor.
Sorry.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, thank you. 16.6, the 2026-2027 events plan. There are no questions with notice. Are there any questions on this item from the floor? DLM?
Sorry, Lord Mayor, I have a proximity interest. I'm just going to step out.
Legend. Thank you for remembering that one for us. Just give Councillor Coe 1 second. Okay, Deputy Lord Mayor.
At our last engagement session, we were told this would come in March, and I highlighted the ongoing consideration from the near unanimous electors' motion around the BIRAC concert. So I note that the events plan is missing the BIRAC concert in its entirety, but my question still remains that the electors successfully passed a motion there that yet hasn't been considered by council. How does that? How do we deal with that when we're considering the events plan a month earlier than what was advised?
Okay, thank you. I'll pop that through to the CEO.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. So the 2026-27 events plan actually frames a fair amount of contract and procurement effort that needs to go in. The efficiency of the team has meant we've been able to introduce it for this meeting, which actually then, fortunately and hopefully, will take some of the pressure off the resourcing to ensure that we engage early with our partners in delivering this plan. The annual general electors meetings, notices of motions will be coming forward in the March meeting as recommended.
Any further questions? No. I'll probably just have a quick question. So in the meeting that the Deputy Lord Mayor was just referring to, this item came up and we were talking about a potential shortfall in sponsorship. I think I did ask the question because we had a similar conversation this time last year, and that resolved itself between the time of the conversation and the series of the next couple of weeks where we were able to chase up sponsorship. In the meeting, it was advised that we're still working on sponsorship, so that might still be coming. But it was more a heads up of what we might consider to drop off the marketing plan. And then it was a rather informal conversation, I think, where Councillor Gobbett just said, well, I don't like... Well, he pointed out a couple of different items, so I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of school, that he thought that might come off, but it wasn't a general overall consensus or discussion. But now that's gone through to this item as being our direction. So my questions are around that decision, but also around, is that sponsorship, have we extinguished any options on seeing if we're to get the further sponsorship? Sorry for the long-winded sort of getting there.
And thank you, Lord Mayor. I can respond to that. So as part of the conversation at an EMES, which is a non-decision making forum, the advice of elected members and the conversation informed the risk conversation, which was in essence what we were having. There was a shortfall of $1.3 million for unresolved sponsorship. So moving forward with a 2026-27 program that doesn't factor in that risk would be unadvisable. So as part of the conversation, there was a number of suggestions put forward on which particular events might be something we could remove from the proposed schedule. However, if we do find we are able to make up the 1.3 shortfall, then they could easily be readjusted. So what we were looking at, and it's quite a complex process, and I'm sure the General Manager would do a much better job, but we have partnerships with existing sponsors, so they're already committed. We must deliver those particular programs. We have others that are really signature events, which we are unable to really shift from. And so what we have looked at is some of our newer events that haven't really bedded down but look to introduce a saving, so we are reducing our risk. It still leaves us, I think, with $910,000 remaining unconfirmed, but we are working, along with elected members, very hard at securing that sponsorship.
Okay, thank you. And then if I could just hear from the officer, just an update on how we are going with, I guess it's still conversations, or you can certainly take it on notice, but with that shortfall. And I think I was hoping to get some opportunities to meet some of those prospective sponsors. An update on how that's going would be good too, please.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'll ask the General Manager, Events and Activations, to respond. I can tell you that your office has been invited. We've asked your office to arrange the meeting, so I'm hoping they're in your diary as we speak.
Thank you, CEO. Through you, Lord Mayor. Yes, that's correct. We are working with your office to schedule those meetings. We're also now undertaking an update on all the proposals. So when we go for those meetings, we have some prospectus to provide them. So they're well underway.
And then, sorry, and just that last question, which how do we feel from a positivity rating point of view on the remaining sponsorship that we're still negotiating? Do we feel like we're in a good space?
Will always be positive in my approach.
All right, fantastic. All right, appreciate that. No other questions from the floor. Moving through to 17.1, which is the review of council policies relating to elected members. We have one question with, sorry, thanks, Councillor Coe. Just for your benefit, we're reviewing 17.1, council policies relating to elected members. Councillor Leeser has a question with notice. Councillor Leeser, has that been answered to your satisfaction?
Yes, it has. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions on that item from the floor? No. Moving on. 17.2 is the Wellga Central Metropolitan Zone meeting and Regional State Council meeting. Councillor Leeser, we have a question with notice. Has that been answered to your satisfaction?
Yes, thank you.
Any follow-up questions? Yeah, Councillor Doshi.
Through you, Lord Mayor. My question is to the administration to start with a simple yes or no. Is this the right protocol for an elected member to potentially commit funding to a WALGA event before bringing it to elected members or to the CEO?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
If, Councillor, you're asking, was this discussed with the organisation or the CEO before an elected member committed resources or budget, no, then that the process that has been followed is not correct.
Yeah.
However, we are now putting forward this paper so that council can endorse the budget, because it has been, funding has not been allocated for this event, and also there is a provision for the CEO to act as a conduit in this, so just to ensure that council have full transparency and that they are also endorsing the resource and budget for this event.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
Yeah, and my other question is, what commitment, if any, were made to this item, and what should the correct process have looked like? Just, I mean, this is the first time I'm also looking at it as an elected member. So, what should the correct process look like?
Okay, and just before I put that through to the CEO, just for clarification, so these are zone meetings for the metropolitan zone and also the state council meeting. So what happens there, CEO? So is this something that moves around to the different councils who are, and they take turns hosting? Is that how this works?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Yes, that is correct. I think the actual issue is primarily around the $7,000 for the Walga Regional State Council meeting. And maybe if I could just say, supporting Walga and our regional and metropolitan councils, I think is a critical function, is something covered in our obligations under the City of Perth Act. I think this paper is just reinforcing that the process for commitment of resourcing and budget was not undertaken in a manner that might have occurred in the past or we would normally expect. And so something like this might be raised initially at an EMES before being offered. I think it's really about the situation where council are coming to this decision a little bit after Walga have already made a decision.
Okay, any further questions? Councillor Gobbett.
Yeah, thank you, Lord Mayor. Was the city made aware of the Walga State Council decision prior to the CMZ making its decision?
Thank you. Through the CEO.
Not that I'm aware. We were looking to see what information might have been available, but if there's that information available, we would love to receive it. Thank you.
So, second question, but take this as a rhetoric. Could I suggest that you look at the minutes of the Walga State Council that precede this, where the decision was made to commit the Central Metro Zone, and that the decision that followed on from that was the Central Zone to nominate a member council? And can I also suggest that you might want to inquire with other local governments whether or not they have a facility that can cater for, I think it's about 80 people. The second follow-on question from that is, I believe the City of Perth hosted the Walga State Council meeting in the previous year as well. Did we receive a budget paper like this to host that meeting?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
I couldn't answer that at the moment, Councillor, other than to say what has happened in the past is conversations and early heads up, which really assist in then making sure that everything moves through the system very smoothly. In relation to your first question about the minutes of the various Walga committees, I wonder if I could invite the acting manager to governance and policy to maybe shed some light on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Lord Mayor. The agenda for the Central Metropolitan Zone details sort of blank where the host council's name was to be. I understand from the minutes it landed with the City of Perth, and I don't know if you can advise, that looked like it may have happened on the floor.
I'm happy to answer the question from governance through you, Lord Mayor.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm happy for an answer for that. That'd be good.
Yeah, sure. So I did raise this as a concern during the meeting that I was unable to commit funds on behalf of the city. I made that expressly known to members, and it was discussed that I would refer this back to the CEO on her approval. So this wasn't me committing funds on behalf of the organisation. And I'd also note that, and this isn't taking a swipe at anyone, so please don't see it as that. CEO, again, I believe you were on leave at the time, so you weren't in attendance, but other officers were, or they had submitted their apology or nominated a delegate. So again, at the most recent one, same situation, no representation from city staff. It would be helpful ongoing in the future if there was, but I hope that answers your question, Governance. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
Yeah, I've got a few questions.
Deputy Lord Mayor?
Thanks. I just want to very, very much clarify that has this been progressed from officer to officer level between Walga and the city? Because my understanding, also being a Walga Central Zone rep, is that we've previously held the zone meeting before. it's normally works on a rotation basis. It works on a good faith basis. And I'm not aware of any other local governments having to involve council resolutions to do something that they ordinarily budget for on a regular cycle. So that's my first question.
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
Thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor. And as the paper does state, the actual hosting of the Walga Central Metropolitan Zone meeting can be covered within our existing budget. It's actually the notional sum of $7,000. So it's actually really for the regional state council meeting in 26-27. So it's really just ensuring that we have good governance around full transparency across council, that there is actually a budget allocation, and we hadn't budgeted for that one. So this is a paper to ensure we're all sufficiently covered as far as financial commitments.
Yep, that's fair enough. Thank you.
And I'll just follow up by reiterating the point there made by Councillor Gobbett that other cities do welcome, and there is a standing, the CEO is a standing member of the Central Zone. I'm not sure that you've been able to attend in any capacity over the last 2 years, but this is part of the role of the Central Zone to be able to incorporate feedback between officers and elected members. But my issue there is if you had been able to attend, you might see that a $4,000 cost for hosting 20 odd people, even with some catering, seems to not align with, at least with my experience that we had just last week. We were kindly hosted by the Shire of Pembroke Grove, and with their significant resources that they might have, we had a very humble catering arrangement, and this item was already on the agenda, and I asked them, how much had they allocated, and they were quite surprised that we were allocating $4,000. So my question there is that realistic? And has there been communication there with Walga as to what is expected?
All right, I'm going to actually step in there, Councillor. This is going to be a decision of council. If we don't spend that money because catering at the time is less, then I'm sure that we'll be getting charged accordingly. The fact that we're taking it to council to get approval for something that is certainly something that we have not so much an obligation, but kind of an obligation to hold is a positive. I've checked my diary on the 2nd of September, which is the most important thing. I'm available, and I'm just going to make sure that I'll be there for the state council meeting. And I'm just going to move on that one, okay?
Although, if I may, Lord Mayor, just to correct the record, I have actually attended one of these meetings, and my apologies, I was actually on sick leave when this particular meeting occurred. Okay. So appreciate that, and just for the record.
No, fair enough. That's noted. Thank you very much for that, and thank you everyone for your questions. We'll move to 17.3, which is the review of the Code of Conduct for Council members, committee members, candidates, and Council Policy 1.8, Code of Conduct Behavioural Complaints Management. We haven't received any questions with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? No, thank you. Item 17.4 is rescheduling the March 2026 Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting. We haven't received any questions with notice, and I will not allow any questions from the floor. We'll move on to that one. 17.5, Draft Capital City Plan towards 2036 and beyond for the Strategic Community Plan 2022 to 2032 major review. Councillor Leeser has had a question from with notice. Councillor Leeser, has that been answered accordingly?
Yes, it has. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on that one from the floor? No, thank you. 17.6 is the psychosocial risk assessment. No questions with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? Councillor Leeser.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. I have a lot of questions, and I apologise for the number of them. So the first one is, I see recommendation 16 includes a gender assessment. It does not look like this is included in the $280,000 allocation we're going to be talking about. Can I just confirm that is correct, please?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
sorry, this is, sorry, councillor, this
Was
is
recommendation
recommendation
16?
16, the very end. And so what we were proposing there is we would really need to be talking with elected members and the Lord Mayor about what that might look like. So on some areas, it is a proposal in this paper that we actually refer the recommendations to an EMES so we could really go through and explore how we might implement the recommendations if council support.
Okay, and it hasn't been budgeted for? No, okay, thank you. Recommendation 3 mentions one elected member needs to correspond with a special email address. Are you able to advise which elected member this is?
No, councillor, I'm not able to advise that.
Okay.
Special email address, did you say? Is that, sorry, I just wanted to catch that. Was that?
Do you want me to read it out, Lord Mayor?
It's one of
I'm happy to. Recommendation 3, specific communication protocol in place for one elected member to manage inappropriate communication with staff. The protocol advises that communication should be through one email address, which will be checked twice per day and responded to within particular time frames.
So to one email address, not one from. I just thought I heard from. And is that one of Azura's recommendations? Is that a recommendation number?
This is the recommendation in relation to protective protocols for staff. And
so is it from Azura? Is that one of their recommendations? This question.
This is one of the actions that the city has taken to address one of the
That's
recommendations.
Right. That's okay. That's because Councillor Lees just mentioned recommended 16, so I was wondering if we're off that sheet. Thank you.
My next question is recommendation 1 calls for external party with authority to escalate non-compliance. Can I have a bit of a comment on that, please? From the admin.
Through the CEO.
The Azure report has identified some systemic issues with the time that behavioural complaints, not commenting on other avenues of complaint, can take. So a person with a grievance, alleged grievance, can lodge, and that can take anywhere up to 12 months. So what this report is recommending is where those issues are occurring, a more timely response, which has something really quite tactical, could achieve a far better outcome than matters that might linger for a long time and seemingly be unresolved.
Thank you. Recommendation 9 talks about a $15,000 budget for coaching for the presiding member. I note on our paper we have the training documents for the last few years, which shows that the presiding members had 34 pieces of training, including one-on-one training with James McGovern. Have you had any discussions around this? Because it says requires Lord Mayor engagement to progress.
Yes, thank you. Through to the CEO.
The Lord Mayor and I have discussed this report in a broad sense. We haven't talked about individual recommendations arising from the report.
Thank you. In regards to staff retention, this report talks a bit to that topic. So how has this impacted staffing levels, please?
Through to the CEO.
Thank you very much. Through the Lord Mayor, it has significantly impacted particularly those positions at interface with elected members. So we have had what I would call a very high staff turnover, with some 5 roles that have governance in their title having left the city since October 2025.
And further to that, does that now impact the administration's ability to deliver?
As has been discussed with elected members quite significantly, we have over 50 meetings, formal meetings, which were held last year, and over 41,000 actionable emails. So the statistics are very high with regards to the delivery of a really high achieving group of people who really want to deliver and support elected members. So the exiting of very senior people has been felt deeply by the city admin, but they continue to step up.
And what about the impact on the ability to hire?
Yes, we have also felt that realisation in that people who might well have been attracted to coming to work at the city, there have been a couple of occasions where I think the attention the city has received has negatively impacted attraction of some candidates.
And so how do you replace staff that's left if we're having trouble attracting them? CEO, do you have a plan for that?
Yes, well, we have put in an intermediary situation, and this is one of the recommendations actually arising. So with the 18 recommendations, those recommendations that have been able to be addressed by the city administration without impacting budget have been addressed. In the interim, we have put in place a temporary structure which has a number of really some rationalisation of roles and some parts having to sort of be managed by one manager that would normally have their own manager. So we're adjusting to the new world for the moment, and we welcome the opportunity to really implement some of these recommendations, to have the conversation with elected members, and to actually then ensure that the individuals that are in the City of Perth actually feel safe, and that those that are currently experiencing it, and it is stated in the report, experiencing current harm and ongoing exposure to the risk of harm, that we are addressing that.
Thank you. And just finally, my follow-up question about staff retention is, if we've got executive depletion and senior departures, has the administration calculated the recruitment and knowledge lost associated with the departures? It would seem to be significant.
We haven't, but based it on individuals. But you can imagine at any point, if someone has been working for the city for 3 years, they do leave a gap in corporate knowledge. And also, in some instances, the haste that some people have left has also placed immense pressure on the city administration.
Just a couple final ones from me. The protective protocols mentioned in the paper, they have been in place already, such as requiring staff to attend meetings in pairs and communicating only in writing with certain elected members. Why these existing workarounds haven't so much, I don't want to say they haven't worked, but I want to say they seem to be, have been in place when this risk assessment happened. So therefore we're going to be spending more money to do similar things. Do you have a comment on that, CEO?
Only to say that this report is about our people and our duty of care to our people. So what has to be done will be done.
Okay. And then finally, the report mentions 280,000 in allocation for the recommendations, plus I think it was 71,000 already spent on the assessment and 35,000 for the monitor. So that adds up to roughly 385,000. Is that the final ceiling, or are we looking at a preliminary cost estimate for this work?
This at the moment is really just an estimate as the administration has been able to ascertain. I think an opportunity to talk with elected members about the recommendations more fully. It could be that there are some recommendations that could be undertaken in a slightly different way, so we would welcome that opportunity for the conversation and the opportunity to go into and discuss what the assessment has advised us.
Any further questions? Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. This question's for the CEO. Do you have legal advice confirming the release of this psychosocial risk report in its entirety?
Through to the CEO.
Yes, we have received that advice, and that advice was provided to all elected members via a current issues briefing note. So you all have that advice.
Thank you. And this question is to the Lord Mayor. Would you consider releasing this report so ratepayers understand they understand what's going on? We're giving them full transparency regarding this serious matter, but more importantly, it dispels hearsay, negative media that we are getting at the moment, which may potentially impact our events strategy and the 1.38 million that we're short of with key stakeholders in the city and reputation.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, I have considered that in great detail, and off the back of the extensive advice that we received via the consultant who prepared what is a systemic piece of work addressing systemic items, was that the report wasn't delivered or written in a way that was ready for release. The chair of the Audit and Risk, who has extensive experience in this space in regards to reports and inquiries, his advice was, from his experience, that when any report that is brought to an inquiry gets released, it gets written accordingly so it can be digested by the public. So that's advice from people far more qualified than I. The legal advice does not necessarily mean it is appropriate to release the report as it has been written. I did inquire with the CEO if the city would be interested in having it written so it can be digested for the public, and we've all had that advice, so hopefully that answers that question.
So just to follow up on that, Lord Mayor, can I just confirm that you are taking advice from the consultant from Azure and the chair from our ARIC committee above legal advice from a lawyer?
100%, you can be assured that's what I'm doing. Thank you. Any further questions? Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we can move on to the next item. Great questions, and we do appreciate that. 19.1 is notice of motion for the Policy, Legislation and Governance Committee. I just want to double check because my notes were getting into different pages. There are no questions on that one with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? Councillor Leeser.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So I noticed that the administration doesn't support this motion. Could I just get a few comments on that, please, from the admin?
Comments outside the comments they've made, additional comments, or would you like them to read out their recommendation again?
I'm happy. I would like to flesh out the discussion a bit further.
So the question specifically to flesh that discussion is?
I noticed that the motion is not supported by the administration. I would like some comment from the admin above what's on here.
Do you want me to? I'll pass it through to the CEO. She might want to read out that recommendation.
Thank you. I'm happy to talk to that. So the administration have a very thorough process as it currently stands relating to policy reviews and also the local laws as well. And we provide the opportunity initially through a current issues briefing note, which gives all elected members the opportunity to read and digest. Everyone receives it at the same time, so has the same opportunity to respond. If it is a matter that an elected member might want to have further discussed, then it would make its way into an elected member's engagement session. I think if you look at the most recent, there are 3 policies just come through. We did a fairly significant review of every council policy back in 2021. We've been very efficient in that process and now have really all of the core council policies. Elected members are invited to make any suggestions, improvements, or, as I said, invite the discussion at a more formal setting, and then it actually comes through to a council meeting. So again, many touch points when elected members can review all of the documentation and have their position put forward. I think also the local law process is obviously enshrined in legislation, so that is very thorough and again giving everyone a fully transparent process. So the administration is mindful of the time commitments of elected members, which is very significant in this council. We have, as you can see today, lots of reading, lots of opportunity. We meet at least once a week, it would appear sometimes twice a week. And so what we believe is the current framework and review for our policy and local government laws is very transparent, comprehensive, and we think actually satisfies the requirements. And again, just to make the point, when we've recently referred 3 policies, we've had really very, very little feedback. So that's a great tick that all of the amendments are non-material and the feedback has been very limited. So I think it's working.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Would you be in a position, CEO, to say which elected members do respond to things like the policy documents that you send us?
Through the CEO.
I might ask the Manager of Governance and Policy to respond to the last ones we've sent through, if you have that information. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. For the most recent council policies that were sent out via CIBN, we had 2 elected members provide feedback, and I believe they're listed in the council report for the Code of Conduct and Behavioural Complaints Policy, which was Councillor Leeser and Councillor Doshi. We had 3 elected members respond to feedback on the policies relating to elected members, and that was Councillor Gobbett, the Lord Mayor and Councillor Leeser.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Gobbett.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Is it possible, thank you for that, Ebony, is it possible to potentially correct the record on there? My feedback was actually relating to all of the policies that were presented to us in that round, so thank you.
Okay, we can correct that. Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to, that's 19.1, we've done that. 19.2 was notice of motion suspension of council travel. We received a deputation. We haven't received any questions of notice. Are there any questions from the floor on that item? Councillor Doshi.
Thank you. Through you, Lord Mayor. This is a question to the administration. How does this temporary suspension demonstrate value for the ratepayer while balancing the city's ongoing need for national and international representation?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
Thank you very much. So the administration has supported this notice of motion primarily due to the unanticipated financial pressures which the city is starting to realise. So it is prudent then for us not only to look at these sorts of initiatives but also others around our own operating costs, and you can be confident we are doing that. So this particular proposal would actually have a budget saving of $110,000, so that's an amount that has been allocated. So if we don't travel, that won't be spent, and so that can be redirected to other key priority areas that have not been budgeted. And as was discussed today with the Lord Mayor and myself, the opportunity for Zoom calls and using technology to still have a presence in all of these opportunities is available. It is only a short-term arrangement, so I think it gives us a chance to reposition some budget, but it is still an option that we can attend. It's just remotely.
Thank you. Any further questions? Sorry.
Just one more on that. The only other thing I would like to ask is that could the city maximise remote engagement while allowing critical in-person representation by the Lord Mayor to ensure that we are being fiscally prudent and also that there's a strategic presence there in certain meetings that are necessary, please?
Through the CEO.
So this is a notice of motion, and council can then decide, knowing what programs have been funded for going forward. This could be something, if I could put that back through the Lord Mayor for elected members to contemplate when they're thinking about this notice of motion.
Yeah, so I think, in short, the devil is in the detail of the motion as it is passed. So any considerations would need to be made to be included into the motion to allow anything to be considered. Councillor Patton.
Yeah, there's a bit of overlap with Councillor Doshi's questions. However, I just wanted to touch on the actual sister cities. So in the elected member key messages pack that was sent out roughly a few weeks ago, it talks and it highlights the importance of the sister cities agreement that we have. Specifically, it talks about the City of Perth based organisations have been able to develop international economic partnerships that in turn benefit the city, our ratepayers and the broader Perth and Western Australian community. Does the administration see any detriment that could be caused by putting a blanket ban on travel for 6 months with our sister cities?
Through to the CEO.
I can't imagine so. Some of our sister city relationships have not been as active as they might have been in the early days. One in particular I'm thinking of is 25 years old, and there has been little engagement. Others are more active. I think in current being fiscally responsible at this particular time, I think a 6-month proposal wouldn't necessarily adversely impact. And from time to time, other cities, I'm certain, and we've all seen it, may or may not travel. But agree, there are obviously opportunities for council to look at some pending travel, which might be more critical and might be something worth thinking about.
So just a quick question from myself. So, for instance, in the CCC-LM meeting where we catch up quite, relatively regularly, I think it's about 3 to 4 times a year with other capital cities. What do you perceive the other capital cities will think if the City of Perth have got a self-imposed travel ban in order to catch up with them? Do you think that will...
I'm unable to answer that, Lord Mayor. I'm just responding to the admin support of this notice of motion, which is it represents a saving of 110,000. These are deliberations, if I could suggest for elected members.
Councillor Patton.
Sorry, just one follow-up question. How much travel is actually pending over the next 6 months? Do we have an indication of the amount of trips confirmed already?
Yep, through to the CEO.
Mayor, I could actually provide you with a list of all of the anticipated travel and then the associated costs, if with your agreement.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Doshi.
Thank you. In addition to that information, would the administration be able to provide us with just maybe a column of when we had last contact with those particular sister cities that we have a relationship with? So I know that San Diego is coming up to 40 years, but when did we last speak to them? So I think that would be really imperative as to what the next 6 months looks like, because if you can you confirm the last sister city relationship and how long ago it was here at the city?
Through the CEO.
I might take that on notice, but we have...
I know, January 25, we had Vasto.
Yes.
So that was the delegation that we had. So it's not that regular, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make. So the 6 months or however long we're looking at doing this for, really what is the real impact?
I think that's the point, Councillor. We are not celebrating any significant anniversaries that I'm aware of, but we will take that on notice. So I think the sister city relationships is not necessarily what the 110,000 is being expended on.
Councillor Coe.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Arithmetic was not my strong point. I thought all total elected member travel for the financial year 24-25 was 82,379. So I'm a little bit skeptical that we will be able to save $110,000 just by banning it for 3 months. So I'm happy to take this on notice. can I have a list of all the travel that's already been spent for this financial year for all the elected members, and also individual members that we paid to travel on our behalf for this current financial year, 24-25 and 23-24. That'll just help my decision making. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. We can sort that out. Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Gobbett.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Question to yourself. So the notice of motion talks on travel for representational purposes. So with reference to the function of elected members under 210 of the Act and 281A, which refers to functions given to the Mayor or Lord Mayor in this case, or any other written law, i.e. the City of Perth Act sections 8 and 10, which refer to the special state national functions of the Lord Mayor in the City of Perth, do you believe, or would you agree, that pursuant to section 815E3AII of the Act, that this motion would adversely affect the ability of yourself or any other elected member to perform a representational function or duties under the Act or any other law?
Yeah, good question, and I probably should take it on notice, but my instinctive reaction to that is we are the capital city of, in my opinion, the most important state of the country, and we're an emerging capital city in regards to our ongoing importance to the whole nation. So if I was sitting here as a presiding member of the Shire of, I won't name anyone, but let's just say a rural, I won't mention anyone because someone will get upset, you know how this world works. I'll probably get breach. Then I'd probably have a different opinion. It sounds like there's about $110,000 to be saved by withholding travel. Now, I'm not too sure if that's the full 12 months or the 6 months. It feels a little bit to me like cutting our nose off to spite our face, because as we do know, and I'm pretty sure most members here, or a majority of members here, have been involved with delegation trips, including, I think, one recently to Europe, which helped us secure an AGM later in the year for 18 countries potentially to visit our city. That is something we still need to ratify and to promote. So for me, I think it does inhibit my ability to, as the Lord Mayor of what is the most important state and certainly an emerging capital city, to promote and fulfil my role in doing that. I think that is certainly a consideration. Okay, any other questions?
I've got further questions, but our screens have just turned off.
Our screen's gone.
Yeah, it's come back. Just as I've got two questions, but one as a follow-up from Councillor Gobbett. If there is any overlap there in terms of a council resolution and explicit provisions in the Act, it's a question through you, Lord Mayor, but maybe to governance. What situation are we in? Does the Act override any resolutions, and does the Act and the roles and duties of the Act, do they take precedence?
I'll pop that through to the CEO, and I think Ebony might get a run.
Yes, thank you very much, Lord Mayor. To the Manager, Governance and Policy.
Through you, Lord Mayor. So what I'm understanding is council can set specific policy provisions. They can set the council's policies. If we've got a legislative provision, of course, the spirit of that legislative provision would prevail. However, it's council's remit as well to set policy and limitations on that, is my understanding. But happy to take that on notice and provide some further advice.
Okay, any further questions?
Thanks, yeah. I'd really appreciate if that could be taken on notice and further kind of understanding be given. My other question is, we heard about fiscal responsibility, but I wanted to understand what fiscal pressures we're under, because of course earlier in the agenda we had the mid-year statutory budget review that revealed that we have an $11.496 million surplus. So just with that understanding that that's an amazing surplus that we've got mid-year through, and we are talking about $110,000. $110,000 in fulfilling our functions and fulfilling what the community expects. So I really wanted to understand, while we've heard about fiscal responsibility, what fiscal pressures we are under.
Okay, thank you. I'll pop that through to the CEO.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So again, we're responding to a notice of motion from an elected member around travel and or deferring it for 6 months. That represents a saving. We have a pending unbudgeted costs incurring, and so on that basis, we've supported the notice of motion.
Just as a follow-up there, is there any advice there from the CFO and through Lord Mayor, but just around, again, that fiscal pressure that we're under, because I can't reconcile having a $4.5 million surplus and while it may be a budgetary consideration, it seems disproportionate.
Yeah, let's pop that through to the CEO.
Yes, if I could invite our acting CFO to maybe make a comment on that if you're able. Otherwise, we could take it on notice, but thank you very much.
Through you, Lord Mayor, I would take that on notice. There's a number of things we'd need to discuss with the CFO to give you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? All right, no problem. We can move on. Okay, now we move to item 20, which is matters for which the meeting may be closed. So items 20.1 and 20.2 are designated confidential in accordance with section 5.23 (3) and 5.23 (2) (b) of the Local Government Act 1995. If any councillors do have questions to these related items, we'll need to move behind closed doors. So the question is, are there any questions? In that case, we can move on to the next item. Item 20.1 and 20.2 we've spoken about. Item 20.1, urgent business. That item will be dealt with in the next ordinary council meeting. Item 22, which is closure. So there being no further business, I now declare the agenda briefing session closed at 4:24. Thank you all for your participation and fantastic questions. Thank you all, administration. Thank you, ball boys and ball ball.
Could you all please rise for the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Perth, Mr. Bruce Reynolds.